This speech was given August the 3rd, 2019 at the Just Pros Toastmasters Club in New Westminster, BC at the Justice Institute. The title is Converting Negative Situations into Positive Results. Zig Ziglar said, "We are the only ones who can use our abilities." What an awesome responsibility! Rewriting this speech has been a real growing experience for me because I really needed to work these steps for my own sanity. I will use my abilities to convert negative situations to positive results. A couple of questions for you before we get started. By a show of hands, who has experienced a negative situation lately? Again, by a show of hands, who thinks it's possible to turn a negative situation into a positive result? Madam Chair, Just Pros members, and welcome guests. This morning I will share 5 powerful, practical, positive steps on how to turn negative experiences into positive results. I'm ready to get started. Are you excited? Let's dig in. Let's get to it. The first step is acknowledge the negative experience. It's not going to go away on its own. It won't convert on its own. So we must acknowledge that it's happening and stay calm and avoid overthinking the experience. It's important to stay calm so that we think calmly and not exaggerate the situation. Our mind must be our ally and not work against us, but work for us. We want it to think clearly for powerful, positive solutions. A help to us in this is neuroscientist Dr. Caroline Leaf's blog on overthinking. She says that constant overthinking creates neural networks of anxiety in the brain, which creates a bad habit, subjecting the brain and body to long periods of stress. Now, in my previous speech, I described a negative situation, and that was paying down the loan on my insurance policy. And I did send a payment in February, and they received it, and it reduced the loan. I did the same thing in March, and how I did that was I had envelopes from Maria with a metered stamp on it and her label with her address on it. So in March, that letter came back, the one I sent in March, with a yellow label on it from Canada Post saying moved, return to sender. I called Maria in Nova Scotia, and she told me, we haven't moved. What's Canada Post doing? So I got on the phone and registered my concern to Canada Post, hoping that they would take care of it. And peeled the yellow label off. Since they hadn't moved, I just mailed the letter back, wanting a positive solution, hopefully coming in April. Well, in April after lunch one afternoon, I got some bad news. This letter came back again with that same yellow label on it. Well, I was upset. I didn't remain calm, and I did overthink it. I phoned Canada Post to find out what had they done. Had they done anything? I had then requested a transfer to a supervisor, but she did not provide a solution and had no suggestion. I kept in touch with Maria, letting her know what happened before in March. Manulife had decided to put a complaint in to Canada Post, and they did receive an answer. It turned out that Canada Post decided to change the regulations on the metered stamp, and that's why it came back. Maria had a solution. I didn't think there was going to be a solution, but my overthinking caused my energy to dip very low. It was true I acknowledged the situation, but I did not stay calm. I really needed this speech to discover these steps to get a positive solution, and I received it after talking to Maria on April the 25th this year. That morning I discovered why the letters were sent back. So there is a solution. There's a solution to every problem. One must remain calm and not overthink it. Step 1 is acknowledge the negative experience. Stay calm and avoid overthinking the experience. Step 2 is step back from the negative experience. When this is done, we will get a clearer perspective and not overcomplicate it. It takes energy to convert the negative experience into a positive result. We lose energy when we don't step back. I lost energy the afternoon of when I received the return letter for a second time. Melly O'Brien is a help to us in this. She is a meditation, mindfulness, and yoga teacher. She sheds great light on how to step back. She says for the negative experience, name it to tame it. When we step back from being caught up in it, we initiate cognitive diffusion. When you name the thoughts, you stop being hijacked by the negativity that is created. It's because you bring the smartest part of the brain online, the frontal cortex. The frontal cortex is reflective and helps you step back and get a greater perspective. Do it gently when you name it, so that you invite compassion and soothing into the moment instead of aggression or struggle. Do it with a soothing voice. Then you'll even get a squirt of soothing neurotransmitters in the brain. This will bring feelings of calm, ease, and comfort. The problem is not that we have negative thoughts from our experiences. The problem comes when we believe our thoughts are true. I believe that there was no solution. I would never get my loan paid off. When you are no longer entangled in thoughts, they lose their grip on you and their power to generate unpleasant emotions. How did this play out in my experience with the returned letter and Canada Post? Yes, I really needed to step back, as talking to the supervisor gave no hope, as she had no answer why the letter was returned, even though Manulife had not moved. I had this thought, Maria always comes up with solutions, and she has answered so many of my insurance questions with clarity and practicality. I'll send her an email updating her on the situation, and I'll record in my planner book to call her first thing the next day. Sure enough, she had a solution. She suggested to send to head office in Montreal instead of sending it to Nova Scotia. Put all the policy details on the check, along with the letter I enclosed, policy number, put on loan payment on the memo part, and when I send it in, send an email to her so she can be looking for it. Well, you know what? It worked! They forwarded to her, and the check went through, getting me closer to having the loan paid off. So step 2 is step back from the experience. You get a clearer perspective that way. Step 3, avoid obsessing on the negative experience. This is important because it moves us further away and not towards our goal of finding a positive solution, which if we had that solution, it would lead to action, and then that would solidify the solution. When our mind is on the experience, we are causing stress to our bodies by creating neural networks of anxiety in the brain. Now, why are we so good at holding on to these thoughts? Why do we do this even though we know it's not healthy? When we obsess on a situation, we may be trying to process and understand it, especially if it's out of our normal experience, something new to us, and it's hurtful or painful. It's like we are reading a book in our residence and we hear an odd noise. The sound is out of place and it is disturbing. It goes counter to our brain's natural optimism, where our brain is expecting the best and positive experiences. When shocking negative experiences happen, we need to think them through to gain a sense of equilibrium through understanding the situation and achieving closure. Especially true for people who are more emotional, sensitive, and in touch with feelings. When we don't have closure, we tend to obsess and create many untrue scenarios. It is amazing what the mind will come up with when it is obsessing. So how did this play out in my experience? One night on the way to a business networking event, my mind was thinking about the previous evaluation from that previous speech. The more I thought about it, I could feel a soreness in my stomach. And my evaluator, Joe, the lead evaluator, always does a good evaluation. Just Pros is known for good evaluations. But he had said in the evaluation, don't bring religion into the speech. I had no intention or purpose to bring religion into that past speech. Now, it was a huge challenge to stop that thinking. It reminded me of a few years ago when I experienced an old friend abandoning our friendship, a long-time friendship, and I would feel my stomach getting sore. In that case, I knew that I had to change my way of thinking because I didn't want to get sick. So, on that Tuesday night that I was on my way to a networking event and thinking about this on SkyTrain, I went back in my mind to 12 noon of that day when I was there for a friend, a renewed friendship, and I was there for her to listen to her concerns about her family, and I was totally focused. So much so that I forgot about my stomach, went to the networking event, and got back on the train, not a sore stomach, and I was being grateful for the many friends I have and all the positive experiences that are going on in my life. In other words, I was using my abilities to stop my needless obsessing. I encouraged myself by being good to myself and allowing my mind to think about all the wonderful people in my life. So step 3 is avoid obsessing on the negative experience. We will only cause ourselves stress and unwellness when we focus on that negative experience. Step 4, focus on solutions. From my speech from about 2 years ago, Our Amazing Brain, I recall the statement, what the brain focuses on will grow. Focusing on solutions will create more positivity and workable, powerful solutions. It is important to focus on solutions so that we don't go into a seemingly endless cycle of ruminating negativity over a difficult situation. It's vital to differentiate between overthinking and deep thinking. Deep thinking is analyzing information for the purpose of learning and moving forward, building your brain, reaching solutions, and understanding difficult concepts. At times, this means that you will need to think deeply about an issue you are facing in order to overcome it. But this is different from worrying about the problem. Deep thinking is really like a mental autopsy. It's very controlled, deliberate, intentional, rational, and systematic. It is not emotionally driven, chaotic, illogical, assumptive, and it is not driven by a sense of victimization. Oh, poor me. Deep thinking is focused on solutions and closure, whereas overthinking is chaotic with no solution or end in sight. How can we tell when we go from deep thinking into toxic overthinking? It's the inability to focus. When your mind hops from one thought to another and you're unable to concentrate properly. This can be a sign that you are stressed out from overthinking. When you have to deal with a difficult situation and are worried about what the other person will say or do at your next gathering. Fretting over this person's behavior for several days, unable to focus at work or at home, and keep hopping from one imagined scenario to another. You feel sick from the stress, have an upset stomach every time you eat, and can't fall asleep at night because 1,000 negative thoughts pop into your head as you switch off the lights. Overthinking essentially taxes your ability to think deeply about any one thing, impeding your ability to examine and understand information. What can you do to make sure you don't overthink or overanalyze situations? One is practice deep thinking. Few people focus on the importance of thinking deeply for improving cognitive health. When we think deeply, we build our brains in a healthy way, increasing our cognitive resilience and mental flexibility, which improves how we deal with difficult situations. We will be able to take advantage of the process of neurogenesis, which is using the new baby nerve cells that our brain creates on a daily basis to build new neural networks and form new behaviors. Deep thinking, therefore, involves a deliberate and intentional process of asking, answering, and discussing information to get meaning, develop understanding, and take action steps. This helps the brain develop and grow in a healthy way. Secondly, become aware of your emotions, thoughts, and reactions. Sometimes we may not even be aware we are overthinking, but our bodies will be aware, especially if our overthinking and causing toxic stress. Our bodies will tell us. Why do you feel stressed about something? What is happening? How can you change the situation, and how your mindset is affecting your ability to deal with the situation? Try to see what was said or done from a different perspective. You may realize you are overreacting or not understanding something. You can write down your thoughts, and this can bring clarity to the situation at hand. How did this play out in my life? Well, I remember the May long weekend of 2019. I was experiencing some dental concerns. I'd baked a delicious baked potato, and I was near the end of enjoying it when I felt something just very tiny in my mouth. I thought, oh no, is that part of my tooth? Now, usually what happened is my stomach and dental concerns will tighten up. I'll obsess about when's my dentist going to phone me back? When will I get in? How much is it going to cost? But that's not what actually happened. I was able to acknowledge the situation, step back by going and looking in the mirror, and just kind of look at my tooth. What have surprised me the most was I didn't obsess. I focused on solutions. The solution was I took a pad of paper and I wrote in bullet form what I would leave on my dentist's message. Then I called him, left a message. It was a long weekend, so I didn't expect to hear from him back, and I didn't. Then I called the office on the Tuesday, because it was a May long weekend, and they booked me for early afternoon. I got in, and it got taken care of, and I paid for it. And it was amazing. On that Saturday night, all of that took place to steps 1 to 4, because 5 came later. The action only took 20 minutes. I was focused on solutions. I'm really grateful for these steps. So step 4 is focus on solutions. Step 5, take action. All the steps work together to bring results. There are no positive lasting results unless we take action. It is important because this process of steps is meaningless unless we have a powerful positive result. There are no results unless we take action. It doesn't happen like magic, like step 1, 2, 3, 4, and then poof, powerful results. Actions create habits, leading to success and positive, powerful results. It's vital to understand that change and success is an ongoing process. Taking action requires consistency. New actions that initially require a lot of effort to eventually turn into habitual patterns of behavior. by being habitual on these steps. When you get to the action step, you will be eager to see and feel the change and the eventual powerful, positive solution. Now, how did this play out in my life? Becoming upset changed nothing. When I connected with Maria at Manual Life, action steps became evident. There was also a reward for following through. I received a $30 reduction on my loan because of the concerns and inconvenience that Canada Post created. My first action was following through on Maria's suggestion, send to the Montreal office, included on the check, memo policy number, and for my loan payment. Take the letter for Maria in my original letter and include it when I sent it to Montreal. It worked, and when I received notification, the check was processed. My loan history was sent, including the first $15 deduction from the loan. The second payment, I got another $15 deduction. After receiving the loan history, I communicated again with Maria and received complete answers to paying off the remaining balance. Then on April 27th, I wrote my final payment with letter to Maria and sent to the Montreal office. I informed her by email so that she would be looking for it. It is on this final payment that another $15 is deducted. On May 7th, I received email notification that my final payment is received and scanned for deposit. Soon it was deposited, and then the loan history was sent showing that the loan is actually now paid off. If I had not taken action and left all the info in my brain, the loan would still be outstanding. What a relief that the process is complete. Step 5, take action. In conclusion, negative experiences are a great opportunity for personal growth. It's a wise person who embraces these experiences rather than run from them. You can use the power of choice to grow from them, and with the help of the 5 powerful and positive steps. Let's see how these steps landed with your mind. I'm going to have a little fun right now. We are going to have a little fun. I want you to do a fill in the blank. Just take a pad of paper out, and we're going to start from step 1. And I'm going to say the first part, and you can fill in the blank for the second part. Step 1 is acknowledge. That's right, the negative experience. Step 2 is step. Yes, you've got it. Back from the experience. Step 3, avoid. That's right, obsessing on the negative experience. Step 4, focus. Oh, you're getting it. It's on solutions. And step 5 is take. I hear you shouting it, action. Zig Ziglar did say, we are the only ones who can use our abilities. What an awesome responsibility. I know what I need to focus on. I need to focus on step 3 and avoid obsessing on negative situations, on a particular negative situation. Think about this. How are you going to use your abilities to transform your next negative experience into a powerful and positive result, or the experience you're going through now? Just think about how you're going to use your abilities. Madam Chair.